Hello, hello, hello. Good morning.
Hi.
Happy Saturday, y'all. Welcome to the Success Code. And this is where conscious leadership meets real talk and business. So I'm super excited for today. I got to get excited, y'all. Both of us just came from traveling.
Yes.
So just bear with us today. I got in at 12 o'clock this morning and
Oh,
I closed my eyes for a minute and then I woke up. But I'm super excited to be here. I'm committed that these conversations happen on a Saturday to the best of my ability. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for um, really taking this on because we when we come into these conversations we want to have them so that you have a breakthrough, so that you have a
mhm.
mind shift, so that you start thinking for yourself. That's the intention of the show. So welcome to the Success Code Fireside Chat. My name is Lorna Sherland. I'm your host, and I have with me today my guest Wendy Kleinfeld, and we're going to have a great conversation today. It's going to go, it's going to flow. What we want to
Sure.
talk about is we want to talk about a lot of confidence. So, before further ado, before we get into the conversation, I want to have Wendy introduce herself and tell us a little bit about her, and then we'll jump right in.
Sure. Well, thanks for having me, Lorna. It's
Yeah.
this is a unique experience for me to be live on a Saturday morning. So I'm sure you have a very faithful following because just knowing what I know about you, I mean, you're a powerhouse. So it's an honor to be here. It's an honor to meet your guests. My name is Wendy Kleinfeld, and I'm the owner and coach at Purple Tiger Fitness. So the kind of coaching that I do is I call it an elite empowered coaching. It's a concierge level of service that I provide for high net worth entrepreneur women who are looking to thrive beyond just the successes of their business. So if you're ready and you've been wanting to feel strong, powerful, and sexy, I'm the person to come to, and we'll work together on your mindset, on your leadership capabilities and skills. And what's fun about my practice is that I use fitness as a vehicle for us to get there, or as one of the tools that we use to get there. So that's a little bit about me on the business side. Personally, I'm here in the Phoenix area, Arizona. It is sunny every day, so I feel very, very lucky and privileged and blessed to be in a very warm place, a place that, you know, I had always yearned to be. And I have a 4-year-old daughter. I live here with with my daughter and husband. And we actually, when we moved here, we brought my husband's parents, and that's just been a really lovely form of support. I I've lived in 4 countries and 3 continents. I didn't actually grow up in the U.S., but that's another story we can sort of bring up later. But that's a little bit
Sure.
about me. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that's a lot of stuff going on. I love that. And that's living life, right? All the experiences. This
Yeah.
is what life is about, is to have the experiences so that we can share these stories, right? So I am super, super elated to learn more
Yeah.
about you, my friend. Because we didn't even get to talk a lot when we were at that event together this
So
week.
sure. So true.
Uh yeah, that was fun though, right? That was
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that was a heck a lot of energy. I mean,
it was
yeah,
it was
I had never been to an event before where it was held at a nightclub. So that, first of all, was an interesting experience, but it kind of made it, I think its uniqueness is part of I think the event character and brand. So yeah, that was
yes.
definitely, yeah, that was definitely
That was
worthwhile to go see.
Yeah, absolutely. And the party on what was it, Thursday? Thursday night party.
Wednesday.
Wednesday night party. See, girl, I've lost track of the days. That party was hot. I love that.
Yeah.
So let's jump into the conversation because I love that you use fitness as a vehicle, and I love
Hmm.
the way you brand that, right? Because there's some health coaches out there, there are fitness coaches out there, and they focus on the workout
Hmm.
as their catalyst to bring in the client. I
Hmm.
love that you use the mindset to bring in the client and then tell them, hey, this is how we're going to do it, is through the
Yep.
fitness. So start by telling me how you came up with that concept,
Hmm.
and then we're going to go into, because I want to talk about the confidence piece today,
Yeah.
because a lot of times I hear people who are confident. I even hear them branding themselves, and there's no judgment. This is just my
Hmm.
idea, and this is ideas given so that I can open the mind. I hear
Hmm.
people say that they're confidence coaches, and I believe confidence cannot be taught. So I want to
Hmm.
know um, how you first started
Yeah.
and came up with the idea, and then how does confidence evolve during your program?
Yeah. So I love that question because, believe it or not, confidence is a huge element of my process and how I got to blending leadership and mindset and fitness. And it has a lot to do with my confidence. So I want to take you guys all the way back to when I was a kid, because I think everything that we do is a reflection of how we were brought up or how we have healed from our childhood. We all need healing from our childhood one way or another.
Right.
So I was, growing up, I was an ugly duckling. I was bullied a lot, and I just did not, bloom like a lot of the girls around me. Which then, and then I was doing really well in school. So this was a time when, being super smart, being focused on that, and then not being a cute girl, will get you bullied. So, but I knew as a little kid even that I was very strong physically, stronger than other girls, and then sometimes I was just as strong or stronger than boys around me. And that kind of gave me this level of sense of not true confidence, but it just gave me this realization like, I have something that they don't. And even if it's something they don't like, I knew it was something that they could never take away from me. And then throughout the years, as I grew up, I had other excuse me, other obstacles that kind of just challenged my sense of self-esteem, and in many ways. And I think when I grew up, you have this idea that, oh, when you grow up, you're going to become more confident, your things are going to naturally evolve. And
Mm-hmm.
for me, I just never thought it was possible that I would be somebody who was confident. So, throughout my early adulthood years and then into my early career, I always had this sense of self doubt, always this sense of that I might not be good enough. And along the way, I did become more confident, especially when I started to do really well in my corporate career and I started to rise. Then I became more confident in what I did and in myself.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that was missing for a lot of times that I kept looking for external markers of validation. And this is why, to me, confidence, while it's important, my perspective on confidence is that it's really just one element. To me, confidence is very externally facing. Like, I could be confident as a speaker, I could be confident in the way that I coach. But at the end of the day, if I did not have those skills, if I did not have the career that I had, would I still be happy with myself? Would I still
Mm-hmm.
feel like I am the queen? And that to me is more of a sense of self-worth. And so I think they have to go hand in hand. You need that internal inward confidence, which I think is self-worth, and then you need to have the external version, which is knowing that you are capable and just not having doubts about it. I mean, really, that's what it is, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of what you said, Lorna, when I realized that there was the point in my life when I felt like I just had to make some big change. And it happened shortly after I had my daughter. And, I was always like one step away from burnout and one step away from feeling like I was going to break down. And then, going through the postpartum, just journey of navigating career and baby. And then of course looking in the mirror and then feeling like I'm so not happy with how I look. And none of my clothes fit. I need to get new clothes. So that just became super frustrating to me, just all the things around me that I felt like I was out of control with. And then I said, okay, I need to take back control in some way. So I'm going to start by doing that with, making myself feel more confident in my body. And at that time, I had already started getting really interested in weightlifting, but then I really doubled down, decided to become a bodybuilder. And because, yeah, for me, I did that because I felt like the confidence at the gym helped me to translate mental confidence at work. Because when you're at the gym,
I'm going to
yeah,
interrupt you
yeah,
1 second. I want you to say it again because, okay, so I don't even know how to say this nice. I gotta try and say it
no,
nice.
go for it, Lorna.
No, because here's the thing: a lot of people who, especially in my world, when I talk to them about workout or you know like, and here's the thing, you can have a workout routine and fall off for a minute, but then jump back on, because
Yeah,
what I just heard you say is that that is the catalyst for how you show up everywhere else. And
absolutely.
most of the time, in my experience, the workout is the one that gets taken off the calendar,
Yes.
right?
Hmm.
And if you take the workout off the calendar, what I just heard you say is it's gonna go back, it's gonna go crazy, because your mind is not gonna be so full, so creative without the workout.
Absolutely.
Is what I heard you say. So
Absolutely.
it's like I don't understand. I'll give you an example. We were away this week, right, at the event,
Yeah.
right? First of all, I did my workout. We were supposed to be there at what, 7:30, 6 o'clock. I was running. It was one day because I had calls. I didn't do
Mhm.
my workout, and I think it was yesterday morning. I didn't do my workout, but in my
Mhm.
mind, I said to myself, "Okay, I'm going to be walking in the airport." So that I tricked my mind to say that is my workout for yesterday,
Yeah.
right? Before I came here this morning, girl, as tired as I was, I got up and I did I did a workout, because I know my brain won't function properly without it. And so I'm
Mhm.
not saying you can't um uh not you have to work out every day. I'm just saying it's a piece of who you get to be in order to have the confidence,
Mhm.
because that is like a pillar of your life, and so many
I
people they just blow it off and never go
and I
back.
absolutely agree, Lorna. And there's two different ways I look at this. One is going to the gym consistently, and I need people to hear this: consistently does not mean every day. Okay, you do not need to go to the gym every day. You do, however, need to move every day. So you don't. So going to the gym consistently, or working out, or doing whatever routine you have, it's an exercise in discipline. So if you can do that, then you will have the discipline to stick it out in your discomfort with anything else outside of it.
Absolutely,
Because, for
totally agree.
example, you and I are both in the space of elevating, helping women.
Mhm.
And oftentimes, for a lot of women, we're seeking what are the
What are this?
skills we need to build, right? How can we become better at what we do? How can we become better at running our businesses, or just rising our career? And a lot of that is discipline, the
Absolutely.
ability to stick it in, right? So it's like, if you had a day where you weren't able to close any sales, do you just then say, "Oh, I'm shutting down my business"? Because that's exactly what it's like, right? Like, "Oh,
Mhm.
went to the gym, I was doing so well, but then missed it for a week, and so I guess it just doesn't work for me."
Yeah, yeah,
Right?
yeah.
So I think the discipline at the gym translates to discipline in other areas of life. And the other way I look at it is, when you talk to just about any successful entrepreneur, CEO, high level executives, they will tell you that working out is a non negotiable to them, because they know it brings them mental clarity, and they just know the importance of having your body move,
Move.
right?
Yeah,
So they
yeah,
know that their body and their mind are they are integral, they're symbiotic. They understand this at such a critical level that to them it doesn't make sense that you wouldn't take care of your body. It's like
exactly.
saying stop reading books, stop listening to podcasts, stop learning because you don't have time,
Yeah,
right? But as
yeah.
entrepreneurs, we're always having to learn. We're always having to upskill. We always have
Mhm,
to be scanning the environment for things that would impact us and how we react to the
mhm,
market. And
mhm.
so If you're exercising your mind and doing that,
Mm-hmm.
and what wouldn't you do that for this vessel that carries your ability
Carries
to
you.
execute?
Yes, that is so
Yeah.
good. That is so good. Why would you do this to the body that carries you? Um, that's a whole nother show.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. We can, yeah, happy to go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, yeah. you know, yeah, I love what you're saying because this is I want people to hear how this is so important. That's one of the reasons why one of my programs is a 30-day sprint. I call it a 30-day
Hmm.
sprint. And in that 30-day sprint, all they do is literally the same exact thing every day. They have 12 to 13 steps and they get
Hmm.
to do it every day
Hmm.
for 30 days non-negotiable. You don't skip. You get coaching around
Hmm.
it, but you get to do it because it's the discipline. People think that discipline is like being rigid. It's
Hmm.
I don't believe it's being rigid. Um,
I would
oh, I
agree
see.
with that.
Yeah, yeah. Which agree with what? That
That
is
it's
being
not about
rigid.
rigidity.
No, it's
Routines are
not
about giving you the right structure to,
structure.
right?
Hmm.
And again, so let's just call out the elephant in the room. What is confidence?
Right.
Confidence, I think, is something that you build where you've done something so many times that you're
Mhm.
not even questioning yourself whether you're doing it right because you know it's second nature, right?
Right, because
That's confident.
it becomes an unconscious competent.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. It becomes an unconscious competence. So you're not even thinking about it. So you show up like, well, yeah, it's not a question. What do you mean? Right.
Yeah, yeah,
You can
yeah.
only get to that if you're doing it consistently.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
So, right. So I'm like, there's just so many things running through my head. I'm like losing my thoughts. So I'll go back to you. Well,
Mhm.
right
Oh,
before I
so
talk about that point.
let's jump into there's a couple of things in the chat I want to address because I got
Okay,
Sasha
sure.
Girl on live today. Sasha is saying self-trust, trust in oneself to set an intention, take control of your will, heal the inner blocks that are diluting your will, revisit your purpose, then go back on the horse. Yes, Sasha, I totally
Hmm.
agree. And there are many people out there who trust themselves, but they
Hmm.
still don't have the discipline. What I'm pointing to, and you can share your thoughts on this, Wendy, is that the taking the action.
Hmm.
If we understand who we are as human beings,
Hmm.
our brain is a computer. It takes
Hmm.
in information, it stores it in the hard drive of the memory,
Yep.
right? And so because it's like think about a computer. You take the disk, you put it in, when you play it,
Hmm.
it just plays. That's what we're literally doing. So that's a
Yeah.
whole I believe is a separate uh conditioning than the self-trust
Hmm.
piece. Self-trust is an innate awareness of who to know who you are. That's another show. Um
Hmm.
but what we're pointing to, Sasha, is you've got to make sure that whether you like it or not, whether you like it or not, when it feels good or not, it
Hmm.
gets to be done. That's the discipline that I'm talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
Where I get training from the they call her the former Olympic athlete. I don't call her the former Olympic athlete. I don't care the fact that they took her medals away. Marion Jones won 12 gold medals in one
Hmm.
Olympics. She was the first one to do it before Michael Phelps, just saying. She trains us every Monday and Thursday.
Hmm.
And that's one of the things she does in our training. She gives us the same exercise almost every week, but if you're not paying attention, you think it's different. But that's what
Hmm.
she's doing. She's training our muscle to be able to do the thing without even thinking about it. And that's what
Yeah.
we're talking about, Sasha. And the self-trust comes in actually that exercise, that um
Hmm.
repetitiveness actually builds self trust, which builds self confidence, right?
Hmm.
So that's why,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, I mean, to people's credit around self-trust, I think there is, for what it's worth, right? I think there could be different layers of confidence. One is more like the internal mental confidence of like, I'm confident that I know this. I'm confident that I know this is to be true because I trust myself. And then there's a confidence that exudes externally to the world, and that is through consistent practice.
Mm-hmm.
And, a lot of people want the magic pill.
There's
And
none.
a lot of people are always looking for something sexy, right?
Mm,
Like I've been in the leadership space for my entire career. I even went to school for this. And trust me, the fundamentals still have not changed. And yet, how many books on leadership and mindset are there out there, right? Like,
millions,
there's only
zillions.
so much that could be written about it. And yet, there's more books keep getting published. Why? Because people's brains, we are so distracted. We want something new. We want the magic pill. So someone comes around and writes a new book, but when you read it, it's the same principles repackaged.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think a lot of people are looking for that sexy shortcut, the hack. Everyone wants the give me this thing in like 2 minutes. It's like it takes years to build something, right?
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
if there's something you're very proud of that you can do, unless
Mm-hmm.
it's a natural talent or strength, if there's an ability you have to do something that's a skill, chances are you spend years honing it,
Yeah.
right? So you
Absolutely.
cannot expect yourself to be transformed into this magical confident person overnight. You have to do the thing that was boring, which is doing the same thing. And it's the same with fitness. You see new programs out all the time. Hey, let's do these crazy workouts where you're like pressing a bar and doing a sit up, whatever, like these crazy stuff you see on Instagram by the influencers. And guess what? Most of them aren't even doing the workouts, they're marketing.
Mm-hmm.
And a
Yeah.
lot of times, and I'm not saying that they're trying to be purposefully deceptive. I think what it is that they're trying to beat the algorithm because, again, our attention spans are short. So we're looking for, okay, what is that one thing that's going to work for me? I try this other fitness program. I try this other gym. Nothing worked. Let me try something new. And you know what? They all work.
Yeah.
It's the only person who's not working is you. You're not putting in the work,
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I love that. I love that you bringing that to the forefront. It all works. Good or
yeah,
bad, it's always working. I love that. It requires tenacity. It requires vision. It
yeah,
requires something. You got to be after something bigger than yourself, or you can
absolutely.
be after, and it doesn't even have to be bigger than yourself. As long as you're going after something, even for you, that's big. That could
Hmm.
look like? That could look like you finally realizing the powerful human being that you are. Right? It could be
Absolutely.
that too. Right? So this is so good. It's such a great conversation because so many people are out there after the next strategy, the next, like you said, the next easy thing to get them to where they want to go, and not realizing it's all internal and it's internally building discipline. It's like riding a bike, right? Like
Yeah.
if I haven't ridden a bike in over, I don't know, maybe 20 years, but I bet you if you put me on a bike, I'm gonna ride, right?
Mm,
Because
absolutely.
it was programmed into my brain. It was programmed into who I was when I was a kid. I learned to ride a bike,
Yeah.
right? Let's say it's a stick shift. I learned to drive on a stick shift car. If I don't drive stick shift now, I haven't driven one in maybe 10 years. If you put me in a stick
Hmm.
shift, I'm gonna drive that car. I
Yeah.
might clutch it, I might mess up the clutch a little bit in the beginning, but I'm gonna drive that car. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
love this. So
Because
talk to me a little bit. Go ahead.
go for
Go.
it. Yeah. What was that? I think there might be
No,
a delay because
because
I was saying,
you were saying because.
oh, I said you did all those things so much,
Mhm.
right? Like when you learn how to drive, when you learn how to ride a bike, that it became muscle memory. Like we also don't give our bodies the credit. Our bodies are actually very smart.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. And we
yeah.
forget that our bodies that our body is a living organism
Organism. Yes, yes, yes.
and it responds to the environment. So when you can honor your body that way,
Yeah,
I think it can completely change your viewpoint.
yeah, yeah. What do you say to people who say to themselves, "Oh, I don't like working out."
Well, what then I say, what do you like to do?
Okay.
You know, find out what it is about working out they don't like. I find that with a lot of women and even with men too, that oftentimes they don't like working out because they're intimidated. Right.
Mhm.
And you know what? I used to hate public speaking. And now I'm like going around, I'm saying, where are the stages that I can speak at because I love it? And the reason why I used to hate it is because one, I had no confidence in what I was talking about. I just did not learn the right methodology that worked for me. And so I was terrified. And so I would always stumble over my words. I had a lot of filler words. And I would have said, no, I don't like speaking. Don't put me up there as a speaker.
Mhm.
And and it really had nothing to do with that. It was just that I didn't believe in myself. Again, we're going
Right.
back to the confidence thing. Um, so if someone says, hey, I don't like working out, I would want to explore that first, what that really is. I mean,
Mhm.
I'm not saying that I don't believe the person because there are people out there who truly just don't like certain things. But I'll say, okay, you know what? What's more important is that you move every day. Kind of like
Mhm.
your example, you didn't get to go to the gym, so you're going to do a lot of walking. People pat themselves on the back because they spend an hour at the gym. It's like, well, you have what you do in the other 23 hours of the day. If you
Mm.
sat in front of the couch or like in front of the TV or your computer, which I get for a lot of us, we don't always have the ability to not be at a desk. You have to think about how are you taking advantage of the other hours and the other ways that you're moving your body.
Yeah.
And also I would talk to people about their ultimate life goal and vision. This is why
Yes.
for me leadership and mindset coaching is a non-negotiable to fitness, because in this discussion I say, okay, what do you want your legacy to be?
Mhm.
What do you want to be able to do? And when you really boil things down, most people would say that they want to live a really long life
Mhm.
where they're healthy and active. And if they are going to have families and grandkids, that they want to be strong enough to be there for them.
Yeah.
That's really what most people want, kind of when they see the long term vision of what they want. Right. So I say, okay, if that's what you want, one of the biggest 401ks that you could invest in, or Roth IRAs, or whichever, is your body.
Mhm.
If you're not working out, if you're not building muscle, if you're not strengthening your bones, and then you trip and fall when you get past the mid age, guess what? You're not going to be around much, or not around in the capacity you want to enjoy the life that you had envisioned.
Mhm.
So to me, it's also kind of aligning the what you want with the action you need to take.
Mhm.
You may not like having to go to the gym. You may not like lifting weights, but if you can see the benefit of it, and then once you start to get good at it, you might find that you might dislike a little less. I think most people learn to like working out,
Mhm.
right? Just like with anything, you learn to like working out. And by the way, don't rely on motivation, because even as a bodybuilder, I don't feel like going every time. I
Right.
don't feel like being there all the time, but this is where the discipline comes in. I go because it aligns to a goal that I have. You
Exactly.
go because it aligns to your goal, maybe that you want to be strong enough to be able to carry your baby,
Mhm.
right? Because
Mhm.
those little cherubs, they become 25, 30 pounds, 40 pounds, and they still want to cling to your hip. And guess what? That you got to be able to do
You got
that.
to
I'm
be
not
strong
saying.
enough to do that. Yeah.
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 Or if you say, hey, you know what, I got to be able to chase after my kid at the park. Well, you're going to need some endurance. You're going to have to learn to jog a little or whatever, do some cardio, right? So
Mhm.
you have to think about how do you want to live your life too? Because you can't say, well, I want this, but I'm not willing to try this other thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a distinction too, right? As you said, as you were talking, and I'm listening to what you're saying, there's a distinction. I believe there's a distinction between working out and movement, because and that's where I think people get it all twisted. There's a woman I follow on Instagram. She's anti-gym. And she actually brought it to my frontal awareness that working out doesn't have to mean going to the gym. You can work out in different ways.
Mhm.
Most people associate working out with going to the gym.
Mhm.
I don't go to the gym all the time.
Mhm.
I don't lift weights like bench press.
Mhm.
I found out that body weight strength building is absolutely one of the best things you could do with your body, right?
Mhm.
The reason why I'm bringing it to the forefront is because if somebody has, and we're talking about confidence, because if you're deciding that you don't like working out or anything like that, what we're saying here today, if you hear the through line, is that moving your body and building muscle and making it a consistent um, practice in your life is part of the keys to success, right?
Oh, 100%.
So move it. I want you to think movement versus workout. You can do
Mhm.
both, but if you don't like workout, which connotes, and my words are mixed up, connotates gym, say,
Mhm.
okay, how can I work out? You can do squats, you can do push-ups, you can lift bottles, water
Mhm.
bottles. You can do all these things. If you're not able to move because you have a back issue, there are other things you can do. You can do sit-ups, you could do leg raises, you could do all these things that are still going to build your muscle. And I'm telling you, when you build your muscle, you look at yourself in the mirror, and you see the changes happening in your body, you're going to get that confidence. It'll be great if you put in some cardio in there, because then now you're moving the energy, which is a whole nother thing, right? Movement causes energy to move out of your body, right? Because you are generating the energy, just so you guys know.
Mhm.
When you work out, you are literally generating energy and pushing it out. That's why your body gets hot, right? So that's another piece of it. But when you lift weights, when you use your body weight, you're building muscle so that you can feel confident in how you feel. Your brain starts creating different hormones in your brain. It's just a
Mhm.
wholeness. It's wholeness. You get into wholeness. So I want to encourage people to do that. I want to shift gears a little bit.
Sure.
I want to really debunk. I hope we debunked the myth of how people get confidence right now, right? Because the confidence coaches out there, which is how I started this piece of the conversation. The confidence coaches out there are telling people that they can help them get confidence. You can't learn confidence. Confidence has to evolve. That's why I'm saying you are one person that will allow people to create confidence within themselves, because they get to do it themselves. Because you could do workout and still not be confident to get on a stage, to talk to people, to network in a party or anything like that. You could be buff and still. I saw people this week when we were in that event who were nice, big, and buff, and they did not exude confidence in my experience. Did you
Yeah.
experience that?
Well, to me, the transferable confidence comes sometimes in subtle ways, right?
Hmm.
So, for example, um, a lot of people do get intimidated by the gym, especially because when you see someone in really good shape or very muscular, you think they're judging you. And by the way, just so you know, people usually who are ahead of you will never judge you. It's always the ones who are
Hmm.
not doing the work who are going to be criticizing you, right? You'll never
Hmm.
see another gym goer make fun of you for going to the gym, but your lazy friend on the couch will make fun of you for doing that. So my
Hmm.
point is, the confidence that one of the ways you build confidence at the gym that I think is transferable to your business, to public speaking, whatever it is if you need help at the gym and you need some other buff person, some buff dude to help you, you would think that that's a very easy request to say, hey, excuse me, can you help me out here? But most people are terrified.
Really?
because their egos come in, their insecurities come in, and it's, I can't ask this person. They're going to think I'm an idiot for not knowing how to use this machine. I can't ask this
Mm,
person because they think I'm so weak that I need them to help me with this, right? A lot of it, the insecurity comes in. So when you can just get over yourself, it's really about getting over yourself and say, you know what, I need help. So I'm going to ask this person who I perceive as competent and ask them to help me.
mm,
The ability to get over your ego
mm-hmm.
and do something scary because you need the help. How many times have we faced something where we need that skill in business?
Yeah.
Where we have to get
Absolutely.
over our ego and we say, you know what? I really don't want to have to ask this person again for help, but it would really help me. And you know what? Get over yourself,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Most of the time, people will help you,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And the people who don't, that's not really even, that's usually frowned upon. The person at the gym who's not willing to help you, that's kind of frowned upon in the gym culture. You
Oh,
help people
okay.
who ask you. Yeah. And just like with a lot of women entrepreneurs, there's almost this unspoken camaraderie of if another woman asks you for help, you give them the help. You
Yeah.
help them in however way you can, but you
Yeah.
don't brush them off, right? So there's
Yeah.
almost that. So
Yeah.
to me, those are the little pieces of confidence.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm at the gym and I'm looking at these weights and I'm thinking, I don't know if I can do this. I'm just so tired. I have blah, blah, blah. I have all these things happening. I just don't know that I can do it. And then I go and I do it. I lift some heavy shit and I'm like, I didn't know I could do that today because I'm so tired. I'm so worn out. And yet I did it. So when you're out traveling and you're like,
Mm-hmm.
I gotta close this deal. I'm so tired. All these things are happening. My mom is sick and my mom, I just don't know that I can do it. And yet you walk into the room and you're like, I need to just get over that, get
Yeah.
over myself and just get that done.
Yeah.
Get it
Yeah.
done, right?
Yeah.
And you will find yourself overperforming because you have spent all the time doing the work in the back end. So to me, that's where the transferables come in. And
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes it's hard to show someone how that looks in real life. But when you put them in a gym setting, it's like right there and then. This is
Yeah.
what happened. You thought you couldn't, now you did.
No, you did.
Let's process through that.
Yeah. At the end of the day, I think this entire conversation has been around discipline.
Yes,
The way to confidence is discipline. It's not something
absolutely.
that so I mean be confident. You got to discipline yourself to be confident,
Yeah.
you know? And this idea that, you'll be confident when it's such an unfair myth. You'll be confident when you have success. What do you say? What do you say about that?
Well, you have to define what success is for you.
Yeah.
You know, I think to me, it used to be that I had a very nice job, that I had a beautiful family, and, that basically, things are Instagrammable, right? To a lot of people, that's what success is, right? That you can flex on Instagram, you can flex on social media, but you have to define for yourself what is success. Maybe for you, success is you're just living in alignment to your values.
Mhm.
Because if you've never had the experience where you're truly living a life that's aligned to what you believe is true happiness, if
Mhm.
you never lived a life where you feel like what's important to you in life is perfectly aligned to what your life is built out, I think you're always going to be chasing the external symbols of success. So, do you need to be successful in order to be confident? Um, well, first off, I, I guess the short answer is no. Like,
No.
you can build. So, building that confidence is an iterative process, right? Because even Steve Jobs had insecurities. He probably
A
had
lot.
doubts,
He had a
right?
lot of insecurities. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And would you say he was not successful? Would you say that he was overall not a confident person?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
right?
Well,
And so,
if you're gonna use Steve Jobs, my experience of Steve Jobs was, and again, it boils down to what is, as you said before, what is the definition of success for you, right?
mhm,
Or whoever, right? Because Steve Jobs had a lot of insecurities, um, and his idea of success was, my experience of his idea of success was the outward stuff, was
mhm,
the build a big company, build, because the stories we've been told is that he was pretty much a guy who was really hard to work with. So that leads me to believe that his relationships were out of balance.
mhm,
And one could say that part of being successful is that you have relationships that are in balance, right? um,
mhm.
he had health issues, which, you can say that that's not being a success, right? If we're
Yeah.
in our conversation here with, working out as a part of being successful, right? So, that there's a lot of things in his world that I would
Mhm.
say, yeah, so if you call it successful, the legacy that he left with the iPhone, definitely, right? But anyway,
Yeah.
I digress. Go ahead.
But no, I mean, you said it perfectly, right? There's many, many elements to success, and it's all it comes down to the individual. How do you view that?
How do you view
So
that?
if you view it as an external marker, well, there's a lot of not confident rich people.
Mhm.
So, those two then are not necessarily correlated. But if you
Okay.
consider success as you being the best at your craft, and then
Mhm.
you are the best, then yeah, sure. Then those two are very closely linked. So it all just comes down to how do you view success? And
Mhm.
and I almost want to stop using that, right? Like now that I think about it, I don't really use the word successful in my narrative in how I talk to my clients because to me, success is just so fleeting.
Yeah.
To me, the way I would want my clients to truly be in a place of success is if
Mhm.
they're living a life where they got to say that this is how I want my life to be. This
Mhm.
is why I say I want you to create a life of your design. So then
Mhm.
when you look at everything around you, you say, this was all intentionally put in place because
Mhm.
I said so and
Yeah.
I made it happen.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that to me is how I find success in my
Mhm.
work. Is I if I enabled you to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's beautiful. I love that. I love that. Well, this has been a very interesting conversation. And I love it because you have turned you have turned um, exercise, working out,
Mhm.
into this thing that gets to be a part of everybody's life, right? I don't care what age you are,
Absolutely.
it gets to be a part of everybody's life because I believe, and I hope you all after this conversation now believe, that one of the biggest keys to success is
Mhm.
how you maintain your body, how you maintain your mind, how you become disciplined in your life so that the things that you want, you get to do them without even thinking about it, right?
Yeah.
So that you get to where you want to go. I love this. What's one of the one thing that you want people to implement from this conversation today, Wendy?
So if you're going to implement something, so I think we all have ideals, and I think one of the reasons why we back out of our goals or our path to our goals is that we abandon it because it all seems too much, it seems too overwhelming. So what I want you to try to do is you may have 10 things you want to try to do. Just pick one for now. Okay? Picking one doesn't mean you're ignoring the others, but just do the groundwork, do the foundational work until it's become pretty integral to your day to day, and then add the next thing, right?
Yeah.
Don't try to do it all at once. Like focus on the fundamentals. Sometimes you just need to sleep more. And I
Mhm.
say this to a lot of women, you know, like A lot of scientists, especially in the physiology, exercise, and sleep science, will tell you that sleep is probably the world's most underrated natural super drug. Okay. Because sleep does more for you than you could ever do for your body and mind when you're awake, in terms of
Are
recovery, in terms
uh-huh.
of releasing toxins. You got to sleep. And if you got a lot of women listening to you, ladies, 8 to 9 hours.
Yeah.
And if you are still in the age range where you still have cycles, you need more during that time. So don't try to be the warrior and say, sorry, I'll just ride with 4 or 6. You are doing your body a disservice, and you're doing your brain a disservice, because guess what? A lot of us are not very nice. We don't think clearly. We make bad food choices. We make bad decisions. And we are also paving the path to chronic illness when we don't sleep.
Girl, I cannot believe you even brought that up. Because this morning I'm listening. I have a thing that I do in the morning. I'm listening, and the person said, um, almost verbatim what he just said about how sleep is one of the things that people don't see. Because here's another myth. Write this one down if y'all are still listening on the replay, and everybody who's here right now. And by the way, if you have questions, we have a little bit more time. If you have any questions, put it in the chat, in the comments, and we'll try to answer those. If we don't get to all of them, we'll respond in the comments so you can have answers. Okay. Here's the myth. You want to hear it? It's not even a myth. Here's what people say: I can sleep when I'm dead.
Oh my gosh.
That one, right?
Oh, you will be dead if you don't
You
sleep.
will be dead if you, right?
Yeah.
Sleep is how your body. Remember when we started this conversation, y'all? We started this conversation talking about the vessel that carries you.
Mm-hmm.
This vessel that carries you needs to recover.
Yes.
We are a machine filled of molecules. Remember, I said we expound energy, right? Because we generate energy. We're like a battery. If your battery doesn't get charged, the battery won't work.
Yeah.
The sleep is the recharging, right? I hope I'm breaking it down so that you understand that this is not negotiable. I am one of those who was a victim of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where I used to say, "Oh, I don't need a lot of sleep. I can keep going. I can do this. I'm superwoman." Right? Don't get me wrong, there's some times when you get to, put in overdrive because you have a project that has a deadline and right,
Mm-hmm.
all the things. But it doesn't get to become a practice. The reverse is the practice.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying sleep 12 hours a day, but I'm saying sleep so that you get rested. And there's some other things deeper that sleep does that I won't do right now. I'll probably bring it to the show when I bring somebody else. Or maybe you can come back, Wendy, and we can talk about it. But because
Yeah.
sleep is more than just the recovery. Just hear me when I say that. It's more than just the recovery, guys. And when you understand that, as a matter of fact, I always use Warren Buffett because he's such a great example. If you ask Warren Buffett how many hours he sleeps, he'll probably tell you 10 hours
Good for
a day.
him.
Yeah, 10 hours. There's a reason they do that. And if you, and that's why my intention is to interview as many millionaires on this show as possible so that they can give you the secrets. Because that is a
Yeah.
secret. 10 hours a day that he sleeps, right?
And this is This is where, I encourage y'all to stop looking for the hacks. Stop
Yeah.
looking for when you hear things like biohacking, blah, 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 like all these buzzwords, I kind of roll my eyes because guess what? It's always the fundamentals that work. It's always the
Hmm.
fundamentals, right? Like when I see articles that say like 12 things you need to do in your business to be successful, and then another list that says 7 things that you can do to scale your business this year, and then you go to another article, and then those are all catchy, but guess what? You got to do the boring stuff. And a lot of people think that they can hack their way around sleep. I've heard this before. I've heard it from a lot of like young men today who think that they can just hack their way around life. You can't hack sleep. You can't hurry up your recovery. It's going to take what it's going to take. So I need people to stop looking for the hacks and the shortcuts and just honor the
Hmm.
process.
Yeah.
Honor the fact that this is just, again, it's about honoring the body.
Yeah.
If you're at a point where you feel like you need to sacrifice your sleep, you need to hack your sleep, or you need to sacrifice your body, your wellness to do what you feel like you need to do, then you need to re-examine how you're doing that. Because you're not going to
Absolutely.
be because you're not going to be around long enough or be around in the right capacity, in the right functioning to see it happen.
Okay. All right. Here's Sasha.
Yeah,
Ha. Yes, I do sleep when I
I do
feel
sleep.
that I
Yep.
must sleep. See, but that's a challenge. That's a challenge. I'm gonna challenge you on that, Sasha. Girl, you know I'm challenging you all the time. I'm gonna challenge you on that, Sasha. And I'm gonna ask Wendy to talk on that because
Hmm.
um what I hear you say is you'll sleep regularly, but when you feel like you've overworked, then you'll sleep more. That's what that tells me. What are you getting from that, Wendy?
Well, she says, I do sleep when I feel that I must sleep.
That's where the challenge came in for me. I
Yeah.
must
So
sleep.
I don't
It's
know if
like
that's what you meant, Sasha, is, if that was just the way it came out, or if you meant it like, oh, you do, shave off an hour here and there, and then and then you maybe recharge on the weekend, because some people do that, right? Um, where they say, you know what, I'm just gonna sleep 3 hours every day during the week, and then on the weekend I'll catch up on my sleep. And it doesn't really work that way either. It's like saying
right.
I'm not gonna work out my entire life, and then the last year of my life where I feel like I'm almost on my deathbed, I'm gonna get all my workouts, and hopefully that's gonna pay me the same dividends. That's just not how it
Yeah.
works. It's like
Right.
investing money, right? Why do they
Yeah.
tell young people to start investing when they're young?
Right.
Because your returns are the highest when you've been at it the longest. And it's the
Yeah.
same thing with sleep, right? Um, oh, she said, no, it's just challenging. So yeah, I mean, it's the same. I get it. The Sometimes the important things are challenging, but it's only challenging, I think, if we don't prioritize it. And so I encourage Sasha, you and all the listeners to reframe that.
Hmm.
So it's not that it's challenging, it's just that right now, perhaps you're not designing your routine or designing your day in a way where
Hmm.
the non-negotiables are
Is that?
just
Yeah.
there, right?
Hmm.
Like for example, I have on my calendar when I go to bed and when I wake up. And the reason why I do that is because I'm somebody who needs a little bit of that structure, right? And it's not like, oh, this notification pops up and I'm going to jump right in bed, but it's to tell me, hey, you got to start winding down, right? You got to start getting ready for bed because something's going to happen tomorrow and you're going to need to be in full capacity. So I think it's about creating the structure, right? Creating some kind of system for yourself
Hmm.
where sleep does not have to become an issue. Okay, so Sasha, you're all about that sleep. All right, good for you, girl.
Good for you.
Because and yeah, whenever I hear people talk about how much they sleep, I'm like, good for you, good for you. Go take those
Yeah.
hours.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right. Thank you for the conversation, Sasha. This is great. Let's see where it requires. Oh, I hear before she was talking about when we were talking about building the discipline. She had
Hmm.
said it requires hunger, yes, for something else that is a core fire burning within you. Absolutely. um that's to create discipline. Discipline requires a hunger. right? It requires a hunger. And uh,
I think it requires a strong why.
I was just
You
gonna the
know,
mission. I was trying to say the mission, but I said it earlier, so I was thinking, okay, do I say it again? I was gonna say it
yeah.
requires a big mission. It's gotta be like Mother Teresa, you know, what's his name? I wrote about these two people in my book, Mother Teresa and Mahatma Gandhi. It's
Hmm.
you gotta have some. They don't have to be that big, but it's gotta be like proportionally huge. That is again a non-negotiable. Which is why, guys, if you start with the end in mind,
Hmm.
if you start with the end in mind, which is that mission, the discipline is gonna follow. That's why
Hmm.
we're talking about this today,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Absolutely. And then I would love to come back and we can talk about the fallacy of motivation and passion
Absolutely.
because, and I'll just say a really short snippet is that motivation and passion are feelings. So if you're
Yeah.
relying that they're there to fuel you in the moment, you'll be sorely disappointed because most of the time, like I said, I don't always feel like doing things, but I do it because it's got to get done, right? You
Hmm.
got to put in the work. You got to focus on the fundamentals.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being in the conversation today, my dear. You have been amazing.
Thank
Um,
you.
and I hope that the audience, including Sasha girl, my Sasha. Yes. Yes, I know you, Sasha. The conversation has been great, Wendy. Your energy has been amazing. The wisdom that you've shared with the audience,
Thank you.
and just having the conversation and just being real and vulnerable, which is the reason I do this, right? I want people coming
Yep.
on this show who don't want to hold anything back, who just want to give to the audience so that they can have a shift in their way of being, their mindset, their money, their family, all the things that, as you said, building a life by design. So thank you for being here. Before we wrap up, I would love you to tell people where they can find you.
Yep. So I'm very active on Instagram at Purple
Mhm.
Tiger Fitness. You can email me, Wendy at purpletigerfitness.com. Website is purpletigerfitness.com. So basically, I'm a very open book. So if you'd love to get in touch with me, you can DM me or send me a note or email me. Yep.
Awesome. All right, guys, that's it for the Success Code Fireside Chat today. Before we wrap up, I want to invite you into just staying in touch, right? Bringing friends on, send in this video to share it with somebody who you think could use it. Share it with somebody who you think gets to be more confident in their life so that they can, realize the success that they feel that they
Hmm.
want, not what the society is told, but what they want, right? And I want to invite you to put it on your calendar. Save the date in Dallas, June 27th and 28th. Buy your tickets now. Come to Dallas, the live event. Come meet me. Come meet the gang. We're going to have a bunch of women in the room. And if you think this is deep, we're going to go even deeper and shift
Hmm.
you, change your life. If you want a life change in 2025, be sure to be at that event, June 27th and 28th in Dallas. And thank you all for being here. Post in the comments your takeaways, share this video, like and subscribe if you have not already done so, and we'll see you next week. Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you so much, Lorna. See y'all.
Stay awesome.